I'm thinking of leaving my husband due to him constantly farting in public. My husband, let's just call him Froten, thinks he's hilarious. He's not. Whenever we go out, be it to a restaurant or the shops or absolutely anywhere, he will fart loudly and smirk or outright laugh. These aren't normal farts, mind you. They're loud splurts, they're wet, they're squelchy, they're toxic, and they reek like just risen from hell itself. People look at us, they avoid us, they judge us. I'm pretty certain there are friends of ours who no longer hang out with us due to the farting issue. My husband doesn't have a medical condition exactly, apart from a bit of lactose and glucose intolerance, but he does go out of his way to eat trigger food such as sour cream and milk and sourdough bread so he can fart the best he can. Lately, it's come to a head though. I've noticed he is smelling like a rank fart for a long time after the farts have passed. I do all the washing in the house as I'm not the breadwinner, and I've started to notice a clear jelly-like residual substance in his underpants that smells like curdled turds. Google tells me this is mucus. This has been going on for about 2 weeks now, and sometimes the fecal jelly ranges in consistency and is closer to looking like a brown poo paste similar to Nutella. So, he has evolved from just farting to actually splurting turd goo and pooing his pants. He still finds it funny, and he won't stop. I told him it's not normal for a man in his 40s to poo his pants on the daily, and he laughed at me, and hand-waved away the issue. I'm mortified by his behavior and embarrassed to be around him. I'm genuinely thinking about divorce, as he's a disgusting embarrassment and I don't want to be with someone whose idea of a joke is to loudly fill his pants with gut butter turds. Husband cheated and risked our housing. Sorry, it's long. Buckle up. Mostly copy-pasted from my post on relationship advice. Apparently, the only advice that sub gives is divorce, and that's not currently a viable option. Background. My 35F husband, 32M, and I have known each other since we were teens. We dated briefly before I turned 18 and broke up because of my age. Friends, close friends, since then, until about 7 or 8 years ago when we both helped each other get through divorces from our respective ex-spouses, both of whom were manipulative, abusive, unfaithful. It brought us even closer, and we started dating in 2017. We moved in together in 2020 and got married in the autumn of 2021. Despite a few disagreements about our sex life, I had thought our relationship was rock solid. He had been my rock for nearly 20 years, how could I not trust him with everything? Part of his previous marriage included his former spouse nearly bankrupting them through mobile game microtransactions. So, thinking him to be responsible, level-headed, and fantastic with math, I willingly allowed my husband to have total control over the finances. A lot of his previous relationships had ended because the women he dated were uncomfortable with him still being friends with me. Understandable, as we had dated, but never been intimate, as teenagers. And I had the same fear upon finding out about another woman who fit into the exact same category I had until recently. Sometimes a few months before our wedding, while we were engaged, he went to visit her in another state because they hadn't seen each other in years and the panini was slowing down. I had anxieties and insecurities about it but refused to cave into them. I trusted him, and my insecurity was my problem. He came home as if it was a normal visit, nothing had happened, and continued to profess his love for me. It wasn't long after that he put forth the idea of moving up our wedding date we had initially planned for autumn 2024. I was confused but happy and decided to just focus on the happiness instead of ruining it by trying to figure out why. Earlier this month we received a certified letter about unpaid rent, and with it, my world shattered. I was digging through the joint account records and found lots, sometimes multiple in a day, and PP charges to random weird names. He was out at the time, but when he came home, I made him spill the beans. I was only anticipating the PP charges. But he admitted immediately to physically cheating on me with his friend during that visit, and that they had been sexting and sending nudes to each other ever since. The most recent time? 2 days before this conversation. A day after really hot kinky sex with me. This woman knew about me, knew he was with me, had been friendly with me, and had helped us financially on occasion. She pretended to be my friend. That hurts too, man. The amount spent on PP was charged to cam girls. And it's a lot of money. Too much money for someone who quit his job weeks before and hadn't found a new one yet. So much money on cam girls that we now owe the landlord roughly $3,000 on a $1,100 per month rental agreement. To say I am devastated is an understatement. I have been incredibly depressed these last weeks. I have been having dark and intrusive thoughts that I haven't had since I was very young, and they're scaring me. I can't see a way out of this financial hole. He got a new job recently, but it's weather dependent, and with winter coming it won't last. He has been selling his valuables and donating plasma. My boss, thankfully, has allowed me to nearly double my hours per week. Our court date is this coming week and I'm terrified. I can only hope to beg for a payment plan and pray the judge forces the landlord to accept. My initial reaction was to want to divorce him, of course. But there are so many extenuating circumstances that are keeping me stuck right now. The main one is that I finally, after a decade of begging, got approved for a hysterectomy. It's scheduled for late January. If I get evicted and end up homeless, I won't be able to have the surgery, because I won't have a place to heal and recover. The other reason? I don't know who I am without him. He's been such a massive part of my life for over half of it. He is the person outside blood relatives that I've known the longest. He's the person I had gone to for anything and everything. I was that person for him until this. I did try to message the other woman to ask her why. I only got blocked with no answer. Whatever, the mistress is a coward. As for him, I laid out the ground rules. He's responsible for every household chore. He needs to find a second and third job. All valuables are being sold. That's in progress. She gets blocked and deleted from everything, and of course, all sorts of therapy. Individual therapy for each of us. Marriage counseling. Sex addiction treatment. If diagnosed, he checks a lot of the boxes. Everything else he has complied with so far except therapy. I refuse to budge on this, but am waiting until after the eviction court to push him on it. It's only a few days away and I can only handle so much at once. It's so overwhelming. Does anyone have advice for healing from infidelity? Or advice for our court date? Tips for making fast money? I will not be divorcing my husband. Advice to do so will be ignored. This is a 2-for-1 strike, he's on his last chance. I honestly want to throttle him for risking our housing, but it wouldn't make me feel better and it certainly won't cause $3,000 to magically appear. TLDR. My husband physically cheated with a friend months before our wedding. It continued via sexting and nudes until recently. He also spent so much on cam girls that we are $3,000-ish behind on rent. How can we move past this, rebuild trust, and not end up homeless? My husband has been lying to me about our finances and we are ducked. My husband makes $140,000 per year. I was making $30,000 per year. We had no credit card debt when I quit my job. Our mortgage and home equity loan combined are $2,000 per month. Our car payments combined are $500 per month. I know Reddit thinks women asexually produce children and then force men to support them, but my husband enthusiastically wanted children as well and had an equal role in creating them. My salary would not have justified the cost of daycare. We both did the numbers 100 different ways, and it should have worked. It should still be working. I don't know what the duck he's spending money on or if this is even the extent of the issue, but I didn't just frivolously spend money like a ducking idiot. I bust my ass to keep our expenses low. The plan was that I would finish school and start working again by the time my middle was in kindergarten, so we would have only one child in daycare. It was a good plan. It would have worked. I don't know what happened and I'm terrified to find out. The title is basically the story. I am also to blame for this. I realize that. We divided household responsibilities pretty evenly, but we don't split every responsibility down the middle, and finances were his job. He's better at them. I thought he was better at them. We are $50,000 in credit card debt. I did not know about this, $50,000 on a home equity loan. I did know about this, 2 months behind on our mortgage, and severely behind on a car payment. I quit my job when we decided to have my middle child 3 years ago, then we had our youngest a year ago. I thought we were fine. We should have been fine. I don't understand what the duck happened or why he waited so long to tell me. I trusted him completely. I would never have believed this. I love him so much. By all accounts, we had an ideal marriage. Or we did. I thought we did. I have no idea how we ever come back from this. It will take years to pay this off. I am in school full-time but will need to drop out because we can obviously no longer afford childcare while I'm in class. That just sets us back even more because my earning potential is lower. The most ducked up part is that my dad did this exact same thing to my mom. It was awful to live through as a teenager. It was a serious contributor to being resistant to commitment or ever relying on anyone for anything. My husband obviously knew about this. It was my number one reservation when I was quitting my job. I can't believe I was so stupid. This is my worst fear coming true and I have no idea what to do. Edit. I don't know why everyone is making up that my kids are in daycare full time, but they are not. I pay for a babysitter while I take one class on campus. Our oldest is in public school and our younger two in home with me. I am going to community college and 75% of my classes are online, the rest are at night. There is no daycare bill. It's literally a $300 per month expense and it should have worked. We are not living large here. I cook everything from scratch. We don't get takeout. I cloth diaper. I buy the kids' clothes secondhand or get hand-me-downs. Our cars aren't new. Our mortgage is very reasonable. We cut all of the extras when I stopped working because my job would hardly have paid for daycare. There is no reason his income should not have been enough. I don't know what he spent money on, but it clearly wasn't our bills. Update. Husband lying about finances. 47 days ago, I posted about finding out my husband has been lying about our finances and that we are financially ducked. That was just the tip of the iceberg as it turns out. After I spoke to him trying to figure out how this was possible, he admitted to having a second family. He's been cheating on me and has 2 kids with this lady. The best part? She's his second cousin and they've been in love since high school. What even is my life? The debt is worse than I initially thought. It's $100,000 in credit card debt and there could be more. Who knows at this point? I guess his cousin had a good job but lost it over COVID and that's when he started trying to pay bills for both households. I've hired a divorce lawyer who is going through everything so I can figure out a path forward. He's staying with his mistress' cousin and his children. Are they also his cousins? And I guess finally living his dream. We've agreed it's best that our children don't stay there right now. All of the kids are having trouble adjusting but the oldest is 8 so he has some understanding of what is going on. It's just gutting me. Luckily, we have a crapload of equity in our house as we bought it cheap and did a lot of the labor of fixing it up ourselves. It's going to hurt me to no end to sell this house, but it should be enough to let us pay off most of what we need to pay off and go our separate ways. I started bartending again, which isn't exactly glamorous. It should get me and the kids through the next 2 years while I finish school. My ex-husband has so far said he would prefer the kids live with me and he will pay me child support. I guess we'll see how that goes. My lawyer is also going to handle a custody agreement. If you had told me 48 days ago that this would be my future, I would have laughed. Some mornings I still wake up feeling like it's not real. I am assuming at some point I will get very sad about this, but right now it's so ridiculous that I can't feel anything but a sick sort of humor. From the outside, and even from the inside, we looked like a boring, happy couple. You never know what's really happening behind closed doors, I guess. A lot of things finally make a lot of sense now. I thought he traveled for work 1 weekend a month. I've always thought it was weird, but it's always been that way, as long as I've known him. He doesn't travel for work. He spends that weekend with her. He gets a very generous number of personal days and vacations, which he was always extremely reluctant to use. Except he wasn't reluctant to use them. He just used all of them to spend time with her and their children. The work phone and work on a computer? Nope. Personal devices that he used to hide what was going on. I have started to feel bad for her in a way because she must have lived such an incomplete life all of these years. And her children. I can't imagine. Anyway, I just wanted to post an update. So many of you were so wonderful that day I posted, which was one of the worst days of my life. One day maybe I'll write a book after I've sorted out all of the insane details. I'll update again if the plot thickens before then lol. I slept with my boyfriend's son before we met, and I am disgusted. So, I'm a 34F and I have a boyfriend 43 meters. We've been dating for around 3 months, so we decided to meet each other's kids. He met my daughter 16F and my son 6 meters and it went great. So, flash forward to the next day, I met his youngest 15NB. It was good, they were very sweet. Then his son came down and instantly I remember I met him on a dating app about 4 months ago and we hooked up a few times. On the dating app, his age was set to 25, which for me was still a bit young, but I did it anyway. Turns out he's only 19, which to me was a school in itself because he looks a lot older. I am actually so ashamed and embarrassed. I don't know if I should tell my boyfriend or not. I really don't know what to do. Edit. I called him telling him that he needs to come over so we can talk. He's coming in a few hours, and I will tell him then and keep you updated. Edit. I am now at his house, and I've called his son down. I'll let you know what happens. Update. As you remember, I 34F met my boyfriend's 43 meters family, and turns out I hooked up with his 19-year-old son thinking he was 25. I brought my boyfriend's son downstairs with us so we can all talk. We both explained what happened. His first reaction was demanding to know why I slept with a 19-year-old. Sounds disgusting to even type. His son then explained how he lied about his age. My ex's rage was now directed at him, and his son said he didn't know why he lied and that he was sorry. He then got mad at me again. Then I said that we are breaking up. I told him I understand and that it was best we block each other and move on. He agreed, but as I walked out, I heard him yelling at his son. That's all that's happened, and I'm planning on blocking him and just moving on from that drama in my life. I shat myself on my way home from school and it still haunts me to this day. Alright, so when I was about 10, I was walking home from school with my mom. I was wearing a skirt with socks. Well, halfway through I really needed a crap. Turns out I had diarrhea. I shat myself as I was crossing the main road. Funny thing. This lady and her 2 kids were right behind me. You could see the crap running down my leg and staining my socks. Her kids started crying and so did I. My mom then had to carry me and run home. I spent the next hour on the toilet after that. I, 20F, walked in on my boyfriend, 22M, cheating on me with his longtime friend. My boyfriend, whom I'll call K, and I had been dating for 4 years. After high school, he asked me to move in with him in a different state. I agreed so that we could be together while we attended college. Over the years we made amazing friends here and he was just as kind to me as when we first started dating. Cute awkward text messages, surprise gifts, and flowers at least once every 2 weeks. We had a date night every Thursday after work as well. He also told me he loved at least once a day. Well, last week I got out of work early. I was in a good mood because Kay had sent flowers to my workplace and ordered me Chinese for lunch because I had mentioned that I had a taste for it the night before. On my way home from work I picked up some of his favorite donuts and went home. When I walked in the door, I could immediately hear the moaning. I walked to our bedroom to see that our friend Ellie was on top of him. My heart dropped. They knew each other for 10 years but they were never close, or so I thought. They didn't notice me until I'd dropped the donuts. They quickly covered themselves up and Kay got up to try and explain the situation to me, but I wasn't hearing any of it. I packed a bag and left for my friend's house. I spent a week at my friend's house wondering if I wasn't satisfying him enough and what I did wrong. Both Kay and Ellie bombarded me with messages trying to explain themselves. Kay told me that it just happened. He said this really was the first time and it wasn't planned at all. That I should know this isn't the real him. He explained that she came over and that one thing just led to another, and it was a mistake he'd do anything to fix. He sent me pictures of an engagement ring as well. Ellie messaged me as well, saying how she never meant to hurt me and that it wasn't supposed to be this way. I decided to call my friend Ian and explain the situation to him. I asked him if he'd be willing to come with me and help me to grab my things while Kay was at work in the morning. I explained the situation to my friends and family, and they all agree that leaving is the best option. I will be taking all of my things and flying back home. My parents have sent me the money for a ticket, and I'll be moving back in with them for the time being. I don't plan on telling Kay anything. He will just come home to a partially empty apartment.
Like and subscribe for more ducking content.